So managing production at multiple facilities in Dynamics 365 was the fail. And let's find out the fix. We're talking about a batch manufacturer of architectural concrete products with multiple production facilities in Springfield, Illinois, and Los Angeles, California. Now, here's where things get tricky. The company produces many of the same products at both facilities, but the production costs vary significantly between locations. Labor rates are higher in California compared to Illinois, plus packaging and overhead costs are different, and they needed to coordinate production and distribution across multiple distribution centers. So these variables made it incredibly difficult for them to plan and manage their production efficiently. They have a strong Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP system, but it was just not able to handle the level of complexity for their manufacturing process. Steve Kalina from Vicinity Software, what were their two options at this point within Dynamics 365?
Yeah, so they had two options. The first one, create the same item or create a new item code for each of the different SKUs, one for LA and one for Springfield. Doing that way, then on the sales order, then the customer service employee had to go in and change, hey, this SKU, if depending on where that sales order was coming out of. So that opens up a little bit of manual entry every time a sales order comes in. The other idea was to have the same item code, but then on the production orders, have someone go in on that production order and change the packaging, change the labor rates, change the overhead rates, again, putting the onus then on the production team that every time they're creating a manufacturing order, someone needs to know, hey, here's the rates, here's the packaging, that. So a lot of manual entry is what they had there. Compounded by that, they had from when they're running their MRP, they didn't know from the sales order where I need to ship this out of, or where I need to make it out. Do I make it out of LA? Do I make it out of Springfield? So that was being sort of compounded by that functionality as well.
So I think we understand the fail. So Steve, tell me, what was the fix for this fail?
Yeah, so this is a very common issue that we see with a lot of our clients in manufacturing, where they have multiple production facilities. So it's a very easy thing that we can fix here in Vicinity Software, where we've got the ability to go in and basically say, based on production facility, here's how we make this. Here's the formula, here's the packaging items, and here's the labor and overhead rates. So they were able to go in and create one common item and say, when I make it out of LA, here's the formula, here's the packaging, here's the labor. When I make that same item code, when I make that out of Springfield, here's the packaging, here's the labor rates there. Additionally, from an MRP standpoint, we're able to tie in the sales location into the production facility location. So what that means is that when they have a sales order coming out of their Minnesota distribution center, that automatically sees the demand out of Minnesota to sell it, and it tells them, okay, you need to make this out of your Springfield location. So that helps them go ahead and create their production planning for what I need to make in Springfield, what I need to make out of LA. Additionally, what they need to help procure materials, the packaging and raw materials into each location itself. And that also goes ahead and tells them not only where they need to make it in LA, where they need to make it in Springfield, but then to suggest to them to make transfers from Springfield to the different DCs or transfer from LA to the different DCs.
That sounds promising. So tell me, what were the actual outcomes when they connected Vicinity Software with their Dynamics 365 system?
Yeah, I think the biggest outcome itself was the elimination of the need for manual entry, right? I mean, you had users going into sales orders or batch tickets and manually changing things, and just the amount of errors that would come up from that, and then having to back that out. So just the pure elimination of that and making it easier for their users of not having to have that inherent knowledge of what item goes to which location and whatnot. Additionally, the MRP is properly suggesting now what to make where, and more importantly, it's helping them plan their transfers from, again, the production facility to the different DCs. It's also giving them the ability to improve upon their forecasting. Now they can go in and say, hey, what am I selling out of each distribution center? Forecast from there and have that again roll down to their MRP, their planning. And lastly, of course, it made it a lot easier tracking their production costs, not just of the packaging, but labor and overhead, as they can compare the standards at each location to what they're actually consuming.
Those are impressive improvements. So, especially for a company with these multiple production facilities. So, Steve, what would be your advice to other batch manufacturers that were in this situation?
Yeah, I would say that, one of the big things is look beyond basic functionality. I think any system you look at, it's going to have that ability to create, a production formula, product structure and whatnot. But look beyond that, meaning, what else can I do with it? Can I create that same item code at different locations? I mean, what we have here with the different facilities, not every system has that. So make sure that you can easily do that. Or at the same time, don't underestimate the impact of manual workarounds. So again, we might look at a system that, hey, I can do 90% of what I need, but that extra 10% requires Susan from accounting to have to go in and manually change something. And that opens itself up for a lot of errors. So that make sure we can get it really darn close to what we actually need to do. Lastly, scalability. It's like, again, as your business grows, make sure there's functionality in that system that can grow with you. A lot easier to have that in place now when you get started versus at a later point as you grow and realize, okay, hey, this system that we've been working with, that everyone's happy with, I can't do these few things that I need to do as your business grows. So just make sure it's there. Again, just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it right from jump. But again, if I can use it as we grow, great, it's there already.
Right. Thank you very much, Steve, for sharing that story of one fail and one fix.